The 911 Turbo S has always been the ultimate daily driver for the refined businessman. Supercar performance, understated looks, and premium German build quality make the 911 Turbo S one of the most sought-after cars in the world. And this is the latest generation, the 992, and it is unbelievably fast. The new Turbo S is powered by a 3.7-liter twin-turbocharged flat six, making 640 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Now, interestingly enough, on the tiny little engine cover that you can barely see, it says 3.8 liters, even though it's 3.74, which rounds down and not up. The new Turbo S is all-wheel drive. It also features Porsche's new 8-speed PDK transmission, both of which are a recipe for neck-snapping 0 to 60 sprints. Porsche claims it can do 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, which is mind-blowingly quick. But independent magazines have actually tested this car to 60 as fast as 2.2 seconds. Now, the maglev roller coaster level of acceleration doesn't end there. It goes on to run the quarter mile in 10.1 seconds, which is as quick as the 1,000 horsepower Bugatti Veyron. That's thanks to both larger turbochargers and the new variable all-wheel drive system that can send up to 368 pound-feet of torque to just the front wheels. Now, part of the Turbo S's charm is its subtle yet muscular looks. To the typical onlooker, it looks no different than any other 911. But to the keen enthusiast, those signature intake vents as well as the yellow carbon ceramic brake calipers let you know there is something special going on. Now, this particular car has been modified by its owner, Peter Northrup, who runs 9 Designs and 1016 Industries. This car actually has 9 Design wheels that look absolutely gorgeous, especially with the center lock caps there. It's also got a VF engineering tune and an IPE exhaust. As if 640 horsepower wasn't enough, this thing is now pushing over 750 horsepower. Now, 9 Designs is soon to be coming out with full replacement carbon fiber parts for the 911. Carbon fiber hood, carbon fiber front splitter, carbon wings, side skirts, and even carbon intake vents. So I've got a link in the description below to their website. Thanks, Peter, for letting me review your awesome car. All right, back to the video. The 992 has a redesigned front fascia that looks more aggressive than ever before, and it also features an active splitter. This rubber piece right here is actually able to tuck away into the bodywork to reduce drag or drop down in order to increase downforce, which is pretty awesome. I also like that it's not necessarily mode dependent. You can choose on the screen itself whether you want the splitter and rear wing fully extended or collapsed. Now, improving upon perfection is really difficult. 911s have always looked beautiful, and they're just subtly changing generation after generation. But with these modern cars, each new generation becomes sleeker and sexier than the next, and I absolutely love the way this 992 looks. Now, under the hood, we've got 128 liters of storage space, which is a reasonable amount, and because the rear seats in the 911 are completely useless, you can use those for extra storage space. They actually fold down, so you've got a little more of a flat place and you don't destroy the leather on your seats. The new Turbo has revised rear wheel steering, which is really awesome. So at slow speeds, like maneuvering in this parking lot, and it makes a really big difference, the rear wheels can actually turn in the opposite direction of the front wheels, virtually shortening the car's wheelbase. Now, at high speeds, the rear wheels turn in the same direction as the front wheels, virtually lengthening the wheelbase for high-speed stability around turns. Really cool system, and this one is better than ever. Now, coming around to the rear of the Turbo S, we have an active rear wing. And like I mentioned with the front splitter, you can adjust that with a button in the multimedia system. Now, for an upgraded $3,500, you can get the optional sports exhaust that gives you these really cool oval tips instead of the rectangular ones, but they've gone aftermarket with this car with the IPE exhaust, which makes it sound a lot less like a vacuum cleaner. The Porsche GT cars like the GT3, the 3RS, and even the 2RS sound really, really good. Well, most of the exhaust sound gets eaten by the turbos, but with the IP exhaust, actually sounds half decent. It's time to hop into the new 911 now, and you'll notice the door handles are seamlessly integrated into the door itself. If you got the key in your pocket, all you have to do is reach your hand towards this handle, it extends outwards, and you can go ahead and open the door. Now, to lock the car, you can either use the key or you can close it, and half the time this works, half the time it doesn't. You press on the door handle and it stows away just like that. The 911 Turbo has always had a nice interior, but with the 992 generation, it takes things to an entirely new level. The level of craftsmanship, refinement, and quality to the touch, every single material feels just a step above any other supercar on the road. It's just that Porsche quality. I love the fact that we've got this gorgeous 10.9-inch display that actually works really quickly. As I was talking about, this is how you deactivate and lower down the rear spoiler. We press and hold that. I also love that despite the fact that we have a mostly digital instrument cluster, we also have an analog tachometer, which is just typical Porsche, right in the center, because all you need to know is when to shift, not actually how fast you're going. Now, the only point of controversy in the 992's interior has been this little shift lever here that kind of looks like an electric shaver for your face or beard. Now, if you could actually remove this and use it to shave your face, that would be pretty awesome. But it does match the little climate control buttons right here, as well as the knurled aluminum on the additional row of buttons up here, like for the front nose lift, which is a nice thing to have on a relatively low car. As is traction control off, which we probably won't be doing considering it has 750 horsepower. Now, there are two seat options to choose from. The standard on the Turbo S are 18-way power adjustable seats that I am in right now. Super comfortable and supportive. On a car like this, it's a luxury supercar, daily driver, so to speak. It's nice to have the power seats. You can upgrade to the carbon buckets, but they are unbelievably uncomfortable. And as cool as they look, on the Turbo S, it's not a 2RS. Get the comfort seats. On the top of the dash is this epic chronograph, which actually comes part of the Sport Chrono package, which is standard on the Turbo S. Not only does it look cool, but it gives you 3 additional driving features, including launch control, which, you know what? Why don't I just show you launch control? Now, allegedly the Turbo S launches better in Sport mode than Sport Plus mode because it doesn't activate all those active aero elements, causing more drag. So we're gonna put the car in Sport mode right now using the amazing turn dial on the steering wheel. We're gonna go ahead and floor the brake with the left foot, floor the gas with the right foot. Oh! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh. That was one of the most ridiculous launches I have ever experienced in my entire life. So what I was trying to explain before holding on for dear life there is the second function of the Sport Chrono package is a button in the middle of the drive mode selector. That gives you Sport Response, which for 20 seconds gives you the best transmission and engine response possible and rockets you to 60 miles an hour when you're using launch control. That was, whew, mind-bending. Now, Porsche has one of the best steering wheels in the business. It feels so nice in your hands, and that's not talking about how brilliant the actual feel is when you turn the wheel itself. I'm just talking about when you're parked, just touching the wheel. The ergonomics are fantastic. We've got these lovely feeling PDK paddles mounted behind the steering wheel, and a perfect opportunity for another launch. Whoa! Oh. Oh my God. If stock it does 0 to 60 between 2.2 to 2.6 seconds, this has got to be as close to 2 seconds as possible with that extra power from VF Engineering. So I love the fact that you can change the driving modes without taking your hands off the steering wheel by turning that little selector. Now we've got everything from wet mode to drive this car in the rain. I mean, you really could daily drive a 911 Turbo S, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I mean by that in a second. Then we've got normal mode, so the suspension is nice and compliant, and it's actually usable. Unlike driving a GT3 on a daily basis, yes, for me, who's crazy and likes really raw, intense cars, I'd suffer through it. Suffering with the GT3. But you know what I mean. It rides a lot harsher, it's more set up for the track, and on normal day-to-day driving with imperfections in the road, it does ride extraordinarily harsh. This car, though, when you put it in normal mode, I mean, it rides like a BMW, like a docile 3 Series or something. You legitimately could drive this every single day. You've got plenty of storage up front. You got plenty of storage in the back here. You're not really going to be able to fit any human beings of reasonable size back there. If you've got a 2-year-old kid, obviously you could put him back there. But other than that, the rear seats are pretty much just used for storage space. But unlike most supercars, where visibility sucks, you can see so well in this car, everywhere, all the way around. And while the 911 is getting larger and larger every generation, it still feels like a small car in here. It's easy to place on the road. You can see the boundaries and limitations of the dimensions of the 911. Now, we've got a new 8-speed transmission. It's no longer the 7-speed PDK, but an 8-speed, apparently for better fuel economy and a little bit better gearing, improving that 0 to 60 time. It hits its top speed of 205 miles an hour in 6th gear. So 7th and 8th are just for freeway cruising and getting really good fuel economy. 1st gear is pretty much just for launch control, which you're probably going to be doing over and over and over again, which, you know what, I'm going to do it again, because why the heck not? Let's try it in Sport Plus mode. Click the Sport response, floor the brake, floor the gas. Oh my God. So when you do normal launch control, it revs it to about 4,500 RPM, but when you click the Sport response, it goes a little bit further up to about 5K, which is plenty for, for a freaking launch control setup. Oh my God. 911 turbos have never really been known for their great sounding exhaust. Those turbos just suck up the exhaust note, and it doesn't come across like the flat screaming, naturally aspirated flat 6 in the GT3 or GT3 RS. And the GT2 RS was a little bit disappointing in terms of its sound as well, because it had those turbochargers. But with the IP exhaust and the extra boost from the VF Engineering tune, at least there's some volume to it. It's not the best sounding car in the world, but at least it makes noise because everything is going electric. Now, Porsche has some options for the first time ever on the Turbo S. There's a lightweight package, which costs you $10,000 and saves 60 some odd pounds. Probably not worth it for the average buyer. But for somebody who wants a little bit more cornering performance, you can upgrade to the Pasm Sport suspension that drops the ride height by 10 millimeters and also gives you a little bit stiffer, more performance-oriented suspension. Although I will say, when you're in Sport Plus mode, this thing rides plenty hard, and it goes through corners with very limited body roll. Now, in terms of performance driving, obviously it's not quite as sharp around corners as something like a GT3 or a GT3 RS. It does weigh a little bit more because of that all-wheel drive setup, so it tends to understeer a tiny bit more, although with the rear-wheel steering, it really doesn't understeer. It just gives you that extra layer of confidence that you've got an extra 2 wheels that are gripping and clawing at the road. This car is one of the best vehicles of all time at maintaining traction while absolutely tearing your face off down the road. It's pretty ridiculous. But the steering feel is still absolutely brilliant. It feels like a Porsche. And in today's world of cars getting heavier and heavier, yes, it's 3,600 pounds, which isn't as light as a GT3, but it's still a lightweight car. We're not pushing over 4,000 pounds. And it's really easy to drive. Another thing that I really like about the Turbo S is I'm driving by the beach. There are tons of people around right now, and nobody's really looking at the car. If I was driving a green Lamborghini, every single person would be staring and stopping what they're doing to take pictures of the car or flip me off or whatever. In the Porsche, some people know. Definitely some car enthusiasts, when they look at the car, they're like, all right, that is legit. It's a new 992. It's definitely a Turbo S. That's awesome. But for the average Joe, they're just looking like, I don't know, that's some guy in a Porsche. And that's what this car is all about. Understated luxury and performance. One of the fastest cars on the planet. It's as fast as a Bugatti Veyron in the quarter mile. It's as fast as a 918 Spyder to 60 miles an hour, and basically as fast as a Tesla Model S Plaid in modified form, at least till 60 miles an hour anyways. And if you upgrade the turbos, you can make these things absolutely ballistic and pop wheelies and run 7s or 8s in the quarter mile. The platform is truly unlimited in terms of the power you can crank out of these. But at the same time, you can fly under the radar and you can park at places without having to worry that somebody is gonna lean up against your car and take videos and pictures for their Instagram or rap music video. You just take this thing to work and not piss off all your clients and employees and have them incessantly asked for raises because you showed up in a brand new red Ferrari. Overall, I absolutely love this car. It handles well, it's super comfortable, and I think it is the best daily drivable supercar that you can possibly buy. It's borderline. Is it a supercar? You know, it doesn't have the wild looks, it doesn't have the crazy sound, but at the same time, the handling is so good. and the acceleration is so brutal. It really is hard not to call this car a supercar, honestly. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video. Special thanks once again to 1016 Industries and 9 Designs for making this video possible. I've got a link in the description below to their website. I'll leave you with one last acceleration pull. It's freaking violent. I love this thing. See you guys next video.